Welcome to the Customer Wins podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hi, I'm Rich Walker, the host of the Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of our past guests have included Rick Williamson of Redtail Technology and Chris Wallner at Chief Outsiders. Today, I'm speaking with Jud Mackrill, co-founder of Milemarker. And today's episode is brought to you by Quick, the leader in enterprise forms automation. When the last step to earning your client's business requires filling out paperwork, don't ruin a good relationship with a bad experience. Instead, get Quick Forms to make filling out forms a great experience and the easiest part of your transaction. Visit quickforms.com to get started. Now to introduce my guest. Jud Mackrill is the co-founder of Milemarker and a general partner at Mammoth, an alternatives and fund technology platform. He is passionate about connecting the future of financial advice through design, software integration, and investing in tomorrow's leading companies. As a multi-award-winning marketer and designer, Jud's work has contributed to the success of today's leading financial services and advisory firms. Jud was previously the CMO of Orion, co-founder of Mineral, which he sold to Carson in 2018, and the CMO of Carson. Jud and his wife, Kim, reside in Charleston and have 4 school-aged children. He enjoys spending time with his family, biking, spicy food, and Nebraska football. Man, I love spicy food too, Jud. Jud, welcome to the Customer Wins.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure. I'm looking forward to hearing your perspective. And if you haven't heard this podcast before, I talk with business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they built and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. And I've known Jud for a few years, and I know you excel at creating great customer experiences. So I want to talk about that. But before we do that, I want to understand your business a little better. How does your company help people?
Yeah, we help people really. If you think about being a financial advisor today, you are juggling a lot of different things. And ultimately, we want to help financial advisors truly improve their business, to actually leverage all this data that they collect on their clients, all these solutions that they subscribe to or pay for in various ways, and really make that an asset when it comes to a part of their business, not just an expense. And so we do that through leveraging a lot of effectively productized services, and then ultimately software that we build and deploy for our customers, helping them connect the sources of data they use, whether it's like an Orion or a Black Diamond or their Salesforce or CRM that may in fact actually integrate with Quick Forms or some sort of thing like that. Capture all that data and store it in the cloud using modern data warehousing, and then be able to get analytics on top of that, and then be able to put that in front of their advisors or their staff to help improve the lives of their advisors and their clients in all kinds of ways by their definition. Because I've experienced that myself in being inside of an RIA, and it's really hard to do. But once you have it, it's very valuable for your business to be able to actually make better decisions, completely curate your experience, and design and deliver workflows that truly get work done.
Wow. Okay. So there's a whole bunch there. So you're putting all this data together. Are you building dashboards for them to run their business, like KPIs?
Correct. Yeah, we'll build dashboards. We have it's really a chief data officer as a service sort of offer, where we engage and we provide either, if somebody needs to know how far they want to travel and how fast they want to get there, we can engage in early and just help them get a clear sense of that. But then we provide a service where it's not just like one person you hire off the street, you find on LinkedIn or wherever. It really is like a dedicated team helping you actually get results, whether it's building connections to data you already subscribe to, or even data you have in some sort of closet in your office, because that's not necessarily uncommon still in 2023. And then putting that into the cloud using a data warehouse, and then putting that into effectively your BI solution of choice. We have opinions, but ultimately you probably pay for one already. Let's help you use it. And then we take that forward and we can turn that into all kinds of things once you have all that data under your definition.
Man, that's so cool. Before I started as a financial planner, I was actually getting trained in business intelligence tools. and building data warehouse systems myself. I mean, that's part of my technology background. And it's amazing you're doing that for advisory firms, because that's bringing it down to a scale that is much smaller than I was dealing with. I mean, what does your typical client look like?
Yeah, our typical clients are probably, around 500 million and then up. Usually they are B2B2C. They're effectively a corporate RIA, a TAMP, a broker dealer, or even like a field marketing organization, an IMO, FMO. We also work with insurance carriers that are looking to modernize how they distribute information on their different products. And we're really just working to modernize the piping of all of that. So if you think about, I got started in this industry in 2004. And when I got started, I was a little surprised even then, because we were like still in like the pre-Facebook era, or like right at the very cusp of it being relevant. Like how antiquated some of this stuff was then. Well, the truth is most of that stuff hasn't really changed. If you go look at DST fan mail, it has literally not changed in my entire career. It's the same landing page and same solutions. And, the customer deserves evolution in terms of how things work. And we sat here and looked at this and we're like, why is somebody not making this better? We can and we should do this. Nobody's advocating. People are building products and that's a way of advocacy, but like no one's building like a true like elastic sort of center that brings together the integration that needs to happen for firms. What if we just did that? And I think you and I got to know each other a little bit through, we did an event when I was CMO at Orion called Fuse. And we called you up and said, hey, you guys are doing some awesome stuff for our advisors. Why don't you come to this event at some ski lodge in Park City and let's do a hackathon for a few days. And it was so fun because we got to see your business. And I love entrepreneurship and I love how different people come at different solutions in different ways. And it's fun to see all the things that you're doing for all the customers you serve, all the different forms you guys manifest for people. It's awesome how many things.
Crazy. Yeah.
And through that, I think it was like a real taste for me of like, what if we just help keep going on this? Because we had to go back and, build our own, portfolio accounting company and like really focus on that mission there, which is very good. And it's been very successful for the team there. But I couldn't get past that. I'm like, why don't we just keep working on this and keep making it better every day?
Yeah, I think that's the best start for any entrepreneur is you have this pain, this need, you see an opportunity that nobody's filling. I remember in the 90s, in college, I actually interned at a lot of financial companies, and some of the people remarked, especially from the tech world that I knew, that financial services is one of the slowest to catch up to tech. And then we see this over and over and over again. Exactly what you're saying. Fan mail is still the same because it works and everybody's using it. So fine, don't change it. But what you're really addressing is the need to put information and data together to create decisions and help people have insights into what they're doing for their clients, right?
Correct. I mean, think about how much experience has changed in the 19 years I've been in this industry. It's extraordinarily different. Like, everything's run off of your smartphone. And that is the guide essentially for client experience. Can my client accomplish this quickly, or can they get the insight they need? Well, that's influencing advisors just as much as clients, because they're all ultimately clients at the end of the day. And so when their expectations have changed, the underlying infrastructure expectations, unfortunately, haven't changed that much. And so everybody needs to catch up and be able to actually, in some way, be much more simplistic in how we are able to deliver what it is we do for people. But to get there, man, it's chopping through a jungle with a machete to do that. That's what we do.
Just a quick perspective I want to gain. 2004, you enter the financial services market. What were you doing? What was your first role?
Yeah, I took a role as an analyst with Orion. I think we had about 20 people at the time. And started there, went part-time, went to grad school for a couple of years, got done with grad school. And my oldest son, who's just turning 16 this week, was born. And I said, hey, I called up Kyle Hyatt, was my boss at the time. I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to come back full time to Orion. You got something for me? And they said, yeah, sure. So I came back and ran a key account, and then ultimately took over all their onboarding. So I got to know some of the fastest growing, most amazing wealth management firms in the country through that time. At 5.5 years of time, it felt like I was doing time because it was hard work. We were evolving from more of a locally installed software into a truly cloud software, into like an integrated software. We were the largest distributor of Salesforce to financial services for a time. Because we were reselling Salesforce to all these firms that wanted a CRM portfolio accounting hybrid. It was highly successful. It was a time of like, I think the TD Ameritrade was like at its all-time peak in terms of relevance and ease to work with for this industry, and we were close to them, and we just had a really good thing going. And we started then building. We open sourced the client portal we built, and that really kind of started an evolution into how can we become the easiest, friendliest to work with technology vendor in our space. Was kind of our mission, our aspirational goal. And that for me, I started building products and different solutions for the company. And eventually, like, it made sense for me to take over the marketing and really help us like open the whole brand up to be that identity. And it was so fun to see.
No, you've had a great impact over there. Orion's got such an amazing story and evolution and continues to unfold. It's amazing. Going back to Milemarker, who was your first customer? I mean, how did you overcome that first customer jitter and get them to say yes, et cetera?
Yeah, the thing about my first customers they're my people. Like I like along the way, you pick up people that you just care about, and you're going to work together regardless of if I'm selling snow shovels or I'm selling data infrastructure as a service and advisor experiences. So one of our early customers is a firm called Tyco, and they are a third-party asset manager built on top of an OCIO based in Chicago. And so like we got started with them, and one step at a time, really built an ability for them to uniquely articulate all of their investments and to have a very turnkey, super fast experience for advisors to get really advanced asset management solutions at like, I would rival their speed and experience to anybody in the industry. I think it's second to none. I'm highly biased, but that team has been really, really awesome to work with. They're doing really good work for advisors. It's so fun for us to see them grow, add new firms, add new advisors, add more assets, and do that really through experience that's informed by data and integration. It really is like, that's the dream. And it's so fun for us to have other people come on and see that their own vision uniquely. There's some common denominators, but like to be able to realize that vision that they have for their business in a way that is theirs is really kind of what we're all about. How do we make that truly happen for people?
I share that with you because one of my favorite things to see is a customer take our technology and turn it into their technology, their experience. And I've seen customers, and I wish I could showcase some of them because they're so proprietary. I've seen them do some amazing things that blown me away. I didn't know that they could do that with our technology as a footprint. Is every install customized then, or is it just a flexible architecture?
Yeah, we have a flexible core architecture, and then the install themselves is uniquely localized to them to allow them to be able to uniquely riff on it. We'll have common denominator things that we make available, and we'll have more and more of that as we go. We're building all kinds of things all the time. But really, we believe that you should have your own unique area to enhance and grow your business. For folks that are using like our data as a service, our whole outsourced chief data officer, for lack of a better word, or fractional chief data officer, probably a better way to say it. For the folks that are using that, we're going to start with where you're at. Do you have a data warehouse? Do you have a cloud provider? Are you on Azure or AWS or even Google Cloud? Like, how do we start there? Not change it, but how do you actually start putting it to work? Because a lot of people pay for things they don't use. Think about all the different subscriptions we have for just TV and entertainment, right? How much time do you actually spend watching that, subscription that you have? I seriously don't, but I still pay for it every month. So let's help you take advantage of that and actually put it to work and make it an asset for you and help you become data driven. And we try to do that over like a year. Like, how do we go that way through a year? Let's just walk and just chip away all the time. And we have guides that get assigned to firms and say, hey, how do we make real progress and not be consultants? Because consultants come in and just take your money and share the ideas that they share with everybody else. And it's generally leaves a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths. Like, but how do we do tangible, valuable things that are clearly measurable at the end of the day?
Yeah, it's actually one of the reasons I wanted to get out of consulting, is because I felt like I had no ownership, no accountability to what I was suggesting or helping them figure out the solution to, and then I'd walk away from it. And I like being accountable to this. This is why I like having a product. I'm just kind of curious, what are some of the techniques and processes you use to create excellent customer experiences, whether that's for your customers, their customers, et cetera? What do you think some of the keys are to creating excellent customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think that nobody knows the customer better than the advisor that's dedicated to serving them. And the thing about this, there's kind of like a sacred thing in this whole thing, right? If somebody trusts you with their well-being financially, that's a really amazing thing. And I think that we get very transactional about that all the time, but it's really, really important that we acknowledge that. And then we think about that collectively and say, how do we do that with absolute excellence? How do we actually improve this over time and make that experience evolve? And so we work with these firms and sit down. I usually personally go to the founders and spend a day with them at least, and deep dive on everything they want, everything that their business is today, and everything their business wants to become in the future, and who's influencing it. And if they could change anything, what would it be? And then we go back and we say, all right, based on what we know, based on the constraints they already have, the contracts they already have, how do we help them get results as quickly as we can and put that plan into action and follow a strong framework? I mean, we're not going to like say, hey, everybody's a special snowflake process wise. That's not how you deliver excellence. But how do we put them into our process so they truly do achieve excellence at scale? And that's where then we constantly, make sure we have the right guides in place, people that know them really well, know where they're going to go really well. And so that's always a big part of our journeys that we build.
So I think there's the two things there that catching my attention. Number one is transactional. And you're right. I mean, when I became a financial advisor, it was about my first transaction, the next transaction, because ultimately it's how I get paid. It's how I know I'm delivering something to my client. But then you also mentioned process, which I'm a big fan of, really good structured process, because I think efficiency stems from great design of your process, your software, your people, how they interact, et cetera. So I want to get to a question around this, because not every advisor is thinking in terms of process. They are probably thinking transactional. How do you help them become more present with their clients? Because clients don't just want to do a transaction. They want to get advice. They want ongoing help and support. How do you guys help them do that with data and the systems you're putting in place?
Well, I think ultimately you need to have, like, how do you want to construct the client experience today? And I think most of the advisors I know have like 5 different places they have all their data. And I think that there are a lot of the different, like, kind of the monolithic systems out there that have most of that data, but even still the advisor wants to uniquely package that for their clients. So we help them, how do we get that to you as quickly as possible, so you are completely dialed in with everything about that client, whether it's the kids' birthdays, important anniversaries, it's milestones and goals that we had set forth, and how are we truly doing toward that. I found that my experience has been, as much as we talk about financial planning in this industry, it's honestly mostly marketing for most firms. It's usually done at a point in time. It's not generally applied consistently. And I know there are people that will totally differ with that fact, and they're really doing something different. But I'm saying for most people, most retail clients, financial planning is a point in time. And so how do we change that and make that really practical? How do we think about tax? How do we think about estate? How do we think about family? How do we think about broader goals? How do we think about all of that in a, not just a one time, hey, this is a plan, but like continually chip away at that. And I think that starts with data. And then it starts with synthesizing all the different things they need to add more, change more, like enhance that. And then how do we take that and say, this is the most ideal client experience for XYZ advisors. At XYZ, this is what we do. And you can deviate, but only in a way that enhances this. You cannot get out of this meeting and not accomplish these things, because this is how we work. And this is done by a science, because we know that when we do this, our clients have better returns, save more money, have increased happiness over time, because we'll actually ask them and survey them, and we capture that data. And that creates better referral opportunities over time. Like, all this stuff is a science, and it takes data to accomplish it. But that's the world that I see, and I've seen it firsthand. It's been fun. My time at Carson was extraordinary to be able to see a firm that was really dialed into doing this, working with firms like a Creative Planning and Mariner, and all the many of the focus firms I had a privilege of working alongside of. Seeing that done well and continually iterated on is inspirational, but it shouldn't be just them. It should be the whole industry that's able to do
No, it
that.
should. I agree. So, I mean, you're mentioning all this. Do you have like a favorite customer success story of how they were transformed? They had a great outcome.
Man, I guess, being able to see just continual iteration on any firm that's able to go in and take a plan that we give them, a journey that we map out, and to be able to accomplish it by their own definition and actually see it come into place and see that actually provide a true ROI. I don't even need names, but like being able to come up and see people that worked with over my entire career, not just even the time of Milemarker, that is the most fulfilling thing. And being able to hear things that we've guided people into, and say, I was at a dinner with some of the folks from Allianz and DPL and the other, it was actually down at T3 in Tampa. And, one of the people shared with me, she's like, you told me this like 5 years ago, and it is the most helpful thing for me that changed my entire career. I'm like, what? Really? I never thought about it. But like being able to see that thing, and when you're just investing all the time in making this world better, and being able to see little fruit sometimes, that's the best thing. Whether it's, it ever made you $1, it's worth it to keep investing and keep doing that. And if we stop because we feel like things are hard, we're selling ourselves short in terms of the impact we can make.
Yeah, I've often said the difference between success and failure is persistence, and that persistence pays off with these types of stories. I 100% agree. When I'm at a show or I'm at a conference and somebody walks up, they're a user of our product and they've had a direct benefit, and I feel like I was a rock star. They're like, oh my gosh, you changed my life. I hate filling out forms. I don't have to do it anymore.
Absolutely.
Let's switch gears a little bit, because one of my favorite topics is artificial intelligence. I'm sure you're all immersed in it as well, being in tech. And, I should do an entire podcast on this because I love it so much, but I want to understand from your perspective, how do you see AI changing or impacting customer experience?
Yeah, I think that it's, so much about AI right now is understanding how to query and understanding how to prompt. And like people are making all these different things on like prompt engineering, and like that's the future. I think to some degree it is. I think it's going to change the way we think about things. We've always had ways we Google. There's Google, and then there's like an academic Google, and then there's like all these different advanced ways to do that. And when you really understand how to do that, it is an unlock for you. And so as much as we can become students of what this can do, and also be able to be increasingly discerning to say, just because I always call it the robot, just because the robot told me this doesn't mean it's necessarily factual. Let's continue to validate this and run with it, but understand that it's extraordinarily powerful in what it can do from us or do for us. And so I'm very much, I fundamentally believe it's going to be a big part of what we do. I think it's going to help unlock interesting insights that you never knew. And helping you as a business care about things that you didn't care about before, but now the data tells you how meaningful they are. If you could think about this, if you had a number that you could actually lean on as an advisory firm and say, this is how much we've saved our clients in taxes this year. Think about that. Like if you could put a number on that, oftentimes a great advisor will pay their fee alone in just tax savings for the client.
Of course.
And like, being able to do that and measure it is an extraordinary thing. Even if it's just like your scorecard, you never show anybody, but your team, and you continually are inspired by that. That's what this stuff's going to give us. And it's going to help us by putting an AI model on top of our data securely, isolated to our data, and starting to see that. And then even looking at benchmarking. Think about the Schwab benchmarking studies and things like that. I know a lot of firms spend a lot of time participating in that stuff. Think about what AI model is going to do for that. You put like a language model on top of all that stuff, and you'll have instant insight, and you can have real-time insight across firms, and really thinking about how are we continually improving this, understanding that it's a law of abundance here. If we continue getting better, we rise, every boat lifts as we continue to get better. It's not like we're taking from each other. We're simply just all improving. And we're serving people better because there's always deeper ways that our craft can improve and change people's lives. So I'm very excited about how it's going to help and all the different things it unlocks for the way that we see the world.
When I joined my mentor in his business in financial planning, one of the things I found about him is he was highly meticulous. He tracked almost every minute of his time like a lawyer would with the clients he was serving. And I remember he had a call with somebody and he said, "Hey, I'm looking at my spreadsheet. You're a waste of money to me. Like you call me every week and waste time, and I'm not making that much money." And honestly, you would think like that's a great way to fire a client. The client said, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Yeah, I'll send you more money. I like this working relationship we have. I will pay you more. What do I need to do?"
Yeah.
So you have an interesting take on this, that you can use the data to give yourself insights to how you're working, to benchmark. I think that's an amazing view of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, man, the crazy thing is like, I was talking to a student at Carnegie yesterday, and he's working in AI and doing all this interesting stuff. And like, it's so inspirational in so many different ways. At the same time, we have to kind of like if we just wait a second, it'll get 10x better.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, but I really do encourage all of us to just start walking toward it and start figuring out how it works and getting very familiar with it. Be a student of this change because it's going to change everything. Whether you like it or not, it's going to change everything.
Yeah, I think everybody should find a tool that makes their job easier, that's AI driven, and figure it out. Hey, Jud, as we wrap this up, I do have another question for you. But before I ask that, what is the best way for people to connect with you and find you?
Yeah, my email is just Jud, Jud, at milemarker.co. Feel free to reach out to me there, or go to milemarker.co and we'll happily reach out. Love to learn more about your unique firm and how you provide advice and your vision for the future. I mean, our whole thing is like, how do we help you get there? How do we help you make that progress? Milemarker is all about progress. It's never a destination. There's always part of the journey. And how do we help you, prolong your path?
Awesome. Okay, here's my last question. Who has had the biggest impact on your leadership or how you approach your role?
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably Eric Clark. I got to work alongside Eric for a long time, and it's not necessarily like, it's really the dedication to building Orion the way it is, and like a relentless focus on that, and just continually doing the work and being patient with people. I mean, understanding like how to really lead people well. And he's absolutely, by all measures, one of the most successful people in our space. But, in the moment, you don't realize how lucky you are to get to like see somebody that cares that much. Because a lot of times people don't, not to that measure. I remember working on really complicated things, and we were working till super late in the night, and he's just there helping support our team and like being a part of it and leading, and also helping develop us as leaders. It was really, really good for me. And I've had a lot of good people in my life, but professionally, to understand like perspective shifting, thinking bigger, thinking about like, how do I do something right now and not worry about how we're making money on it? but realizing like we're making an impact and it will take care of itself. If you keep doing enough good things for people and keep investing in this experience you provide, it will compound in an extraordinary way. And it really can change people's lives and build something greater.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually really, really admire Eric. I got to spend a little bit of time with him at that Park City Fusion event or Fuse event and get to know him a little bit better. I wish I had that experience you had to work next to him because he's a great guy. Hey, I want to say thanks to Jud Mackrill, co-founder of Milemarker, for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Milemarker's website at milemarker.co. And don't forget to check out quickforms.com, where we take the work out of paperwork. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion, and we'll click the like button, share this with someone, and even subscribe to our channels for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Jud, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Rich. Glad to be here.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.